Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm delighted to welcome Ed Creamer in this morning. Morning, Ed.
Morning.
Ed is a dressage rider, and he has had an interesting journey, as all riders do. And we're just going to find out a little bit more about Ed, about his horses, his ethos, what he's had to go through, how the industry has changed since he started in it. And go from there. So, Ed, just tell us a little bit about yourself. And is it Chevalier Dressage? Is that how you say it? Or is that not what you are anymore?
It's Chevalier Dressage.
Cool. So tell us a bit about that.
French for knight, for like a mounted knight. And so that's sort of where dressage originated. So it just sort of seemed a good idea at the time.
Oh, yeah, great. Okay, so tell us, when did you start? What was it that drew you into horses? How come you're still in it now? Like, what's that all about for you?
I honestly couldn't tell you why I got into horses in the first place. The earliest memory I've got is being a little kid watching a horse going at hacking and thinking, oh, that looks like fun, and begging my parents to give me a riding lesson. And then after that first riding lesson, I sort of got hooked, which was a little bit of a shame for them because they were quite keen for me to maybe do football or something else. Here we are, sort of nearly 30 years later, and I'm still sticking at it, and it's became a bit of a passion.
So how did you get into it then? So from a non-horsey family who clearly had no idea what they were getting into by letting you go out and have a lesson. I know that one well. It's the same. I think they thought it was a phase and they're still waiting for the phase to end. What was it like for you as a non-riding kid with a non-horsey family?
It was the same as most kids, to be honest, because every kid wants to go and ride the horse and enjoy it and all that sort of thing. We couldn't afford to have my own horse, so it was a case of beg, borrow and steal. So I went and worked at little riding schools when I was 7-8 years old at the weekend, sort of helping poo pick the fields and things like that. So I got to have a ride on a pony, and along the way I met people that said, oh, would you like to ride my little horse, and so on. So when I was 14, I met someone called Julie Robertson who really kindly said, oh, would you like to sit on my horse and help me out riding it here and there, and just went from there, really. The only hard bit really was no one at my school rode, so they all looked at me as a little bit of a weirdo, like, why aren't you doing football, why aren't you doing like boy things? So that was the only strange bit, essentially. But my parents have always been really supportive where they could. And as a result, when I decided I didn't want to go to university, they said, well, look, let's take the money we put aside for your university fund and you can have a horse instead. So that's when I got my first one. Way back then, I was sort of 17, 18.
Yeah. Oh, so that's where it all began then, was it? Was that the moment that actually this became the thing you wanted to do?
It was, yeah. I'd worked a summer at a lady called Zoe Colgate's yard, and I just worked the summer there, really, and just enjoying it. And I just got a bit hooked on dressage, and I started thinking it seemed a really fun thing to do. I just really enjoyed the sort of training aspect and sort of trying to understand and unpick the horse's brain a little bit and get them to really want to do something with you. And after that, I was sort of hooked on it. I still did other things, but it wasn't until I was 18 I really got into just dressage. Before that, I galloped around the countryside and hit things with my stick, and I went and did reenactment things. So we dressed up and reenacted like the Battle of Waterloo and stuff like that, and did stunt riding. And but it was 18 that I actually really got sort of hooked on dressage properly.
And so what is it that you love about dressage? So you hinted there, actually it's about getting them to learn new things and try new stuff and kind of working together. What is it then that's the ethos for you behind dressage?
Such as ethos as such, it's more just you. I mean, put it this way, I get way more of a thrill riding the horse at home and teaching its first leg yield or its first shoulder in or even just its first transition than I ever do when I go to competition. I've won plenty of competitions, but it doesn't excite me the same way. What really excites me is having that feeling, and it usually, as many people know, it always happens when no one's watching. Having that feeling where the horse completely understood that tiny little movement of your body and they just knew what you wanted, and you didn't have to ask, and it just happens. And everyone's been there, everyone's had it at some point. And I think that's what you strive to try and get every day, really.
And so how has that kind of shaped you as a rider and a competitor then, do you think? If it's not so much about going and succeeding, it's more, so what we would call that is, it's not about the product, which would be the competition result or the score. It's about the process, which are the things that you talked about there, which is a great mindset to have as any kind of athlete, especially an equine athlete, where it's all about the process, and the product happens to be a happy coincidence every now and again. So what would you say then is, how has that kind of helped you fuel you on over the years, and got you over maybe challenges and kept you going?
I think that the important thing is you have to stay positive with horses. You can't look at any negatives in horses. You've always got to look at the positive and think, well, you know what, 3 months ago I kept falling off this one, so the fact that it only had a little buck today, that's a plus. You know, you've got to be as positive as you possibly can going forwards. And I mean, the problem I've had, like career wise, is, you know, yes, I've competed loads and I've gone to Grand Prix on horses, but I've never really pushed myself to go and compete. I mean, I have a lot of people telling me I should, and telling me off that I should, but it's never really interested me. And so as a result, I've stuck to the training, and I've wanted to train others to have the same mindset, where you know, if it takes a long time, then it takes a long time. It doesn't matter if it takes a long time. What matters is what you get at the end of it. You know, some horses learn things quickly. Some horses take a long time to learn them. You just have to give them a pat every now and then when they get it right. Yes, it's trying to keep that kind of mindset throughout, and as I say, it's having to stay as positive as you can.
And some people might say, oh, well, it's all very well you saying, oh, you know, it takes time and what have you. You've been there, you've done Grand Prix, you've like, yeah, tick that off, and now you kind of work around at whatever level. And some people might say, well, it's all very well you saying that, but I'm desperate to get to a certain level, or I'm desperate to get a certain move or something in. You know, what would you say to people that kind of really, really want it, but are finding a struggle at the moment because it's taking them time?
One of the best bits of advice I ever got given was from the guy I trained with in Germany. And he used to always just say, if you come across a problem, stop and look at it from the horse's point of view. Try to put yourself in their body and in their mindset, and then work out why it's going wrong. And so often, I still do it now. I'll come across a problem with a horse thinking, well, why are you not doing it? I put my leg on. Why didn't you do it? But you have to take a step back and think to yourself, well, actually, if I was the horse and someone had put their leg on that side, why would I understand what that meant? And it's really held me in good stead over the years, because it makes you realize actually they don't know what we're telling them. And you might tell them 3 times to do it and they get it 3 times. The 4th time you tell them to do it, they basically feels like they ignore you. But it doesn't mean they've got it wrong. It just means you just got to do it again. The same guy in Germany, we always used to take the mick out of him, because you were young when we were there and we were being silly. He used to say noch einmal, which meant do it again, just come again, one more time, do it again. And it really is the best way to do it. Just take your time, do it again, doesn't matter. And that way the horse will listen in the end. They'll get it right in the end. And then when they do, it is more rewarding for the rider. It's very easy from the outside to say, oh, well, you know, you've got to Grand Prix. It's, you know, you've done it. You've been there, done it. But I still fall off. I still get it wrong. Everyone gets it wrong. The fact you get it wrong is what makes you learn. And that's, again, it's having to be a little bit positive in that sense.
So definitely sounds to me like you've got what we call a great growth mindset, which is that you relish the mistake to get the feedback, to learn from it. You put yourselves in those situations again. You know, it doesn't have to be right all the time. Right is good, right helps. But actually, that's what we call a great growth mindset there.
Well, and again, I'll be honest, I didn't used to have that mindset. My mindset has developed over the years of getting it wrong and learning from getting it wrong, and then every now and getting it right. And I've almost surprised myself when I got it right, because you sort of almost get so used to it going wrong. I used to get so frustrated. I used to get off and, you know, scream and shout and be a proper boy about it, like a stroppy teenager. And yeah, everyone gets frustrated. Anyone that says with horses, "Oh no, I've never got frustrated. I've never lost my patience. I've never lost my temper," then you're a liar, because we all do. It's impossible not to. The fact that you have to learn from it is the important bit. But you lose your temper and you get frustrated because you want the horse to get it right and you desperately want it to be good, and you almost put more pressure on yourself because you want it so bad. In actual fact, the fact you want it so bad, you almost need to take a step back and think, I want it so much, it's worth waiting for.
Yeah,
That's
I think that's absolutely
sort
a
of,
brilliant way of looking at it. And it's so good to hear that you have had that struggle as well, because, you know, people, it is a misconception, and we're all guilty of it sometimes, of looking at someone who's achieved something and thinking, well, it was obviously easier for them, wasn't it? You know,
oh yeah,
otherwise
I
I'd
do it.
be there.
I look at other riders going, oh God, I'm so jealous. They do so well all the time. And yeah, it's normal. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I've had so many tears. I mean, I shouldn't admit this, but yeah, as a bloke, come on. But I've cried over the fact that my horse wouldn't do a flying change, and you just sort of think, well, you know. And then that same horse I took to Grand Prix, and it's that sort of thing. I honestly I cried and cried, going, oh, I'm never going to get flying changes, and oh, it just wouldn't happen. And then as time goes on, the horse works it out. Then you have this epiphany moment. You think, oh my God, he did it! Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God! And again, it's that moment when no one's around, no one ever sees the horse do it. It's just you, and it does get better. It always does. It's incredibly rare that the horse does just say, you know what, I'm not doing it, I hate you, because they just don't have that mindset. You know, humans have that mindset. Humans can be nasty and bitchy and stuff, but horses don't. Horses just, you know, they come out the same every day.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking about that human mindset and how nasty people can be and things as well, over the years, you'll have no doubt come across some of that. How have you dealt with that side? Because dressage can be very, very catty. Well, actually, all sports can, can't they? But dressage really can.
It really can. Weirdly, as I got to the higher levels, people became nicer. I think because as you get to the high levels, everyone that's got there has gone, bloody hell, this is hard work. And they've become a lot more accepting of the fact everyone's in the same boat and it's really hard. Whereas if I go to like a prelim or a novice competition, that's when I get looks. I'll get like, oh, you know, what's he doing? What's that? And I think it's because everyone's so desperate to do well. It's not. I don't think it's because they're nasty people. No one's inherently nasty. Well, I like to think that. But it's. I think as you go through more of a struggle, as life continues to throw you horrible poo in the face, it does make you realise actually there is no easy way to fix this. There's no quick fix. It is just going to be hard graft. And once you've put that little bit of hard graft in it, you know, it does make you just a bit more cheerful and a bit like, you know what, could be worse. I could have fallen off again. It doesn't matter. But I've come across people that have just been just nasty to me for no reason, just nasty. And you know, to be honest, to start with, I used to just go and sulk and try and keep away from people and think, oh God, you know, maybe it's me, maybe I'm just getting it all wrong, and oh, I don't know. And then I realised actually no, because my horse would tell me if I was getting it wrong. You know, because if a horse doesn't want you on its back, you won't be on its back. It doesn't matter how good a rider you are. If they want you off the back, you're off. And so try and work backwards from that. If they're still letting you stay on their back and they're giving it a go and they're trying, then yeah, you're probably getting something right at least. And then just work from that.
And so, how did you deal with that negativity then? So you did the, oh, it must be me, and then you realise actually it's probably not, because my horse is still letting me do stuff with them. How did you then overcome that to keep going? Because I would be amazed if it was just the once that this happened. It would have been more than that, and it probably still continued to, because that's life, isn't it? You know.
No, it is years and years and years and years. And the way essentially I overcame it was I was just very lucky. I had people that were around me that did support me. I listened to them instead, and it's really easy to say that, and it's not easy to do it because you know you could have 20 people telling you you're doing a good job, and oh, you know, that's great and well done, it looks really nice, but that one person that says, oh well, look, the horse is a little bit overbent in that picture that I took. All the other pictures are fine, but that one, he's overbent. And they're the ones that stick in your head. They're the ones that break you down and make you feel like you have got it wrong. And, oh God, yes, you're right. That picture is horrible. And so on. Even though, if, a stride later, another photo was taken, the horse looked like a classical dressage poster. But it's very hard to not listen to the bad stuff. And I learned, really hard lessons about doing that, because I had terrible depression, and I was on medication and also, and it was that sort of wake up call that made me think, well, you have enough. Like, stop letting yourself feel like this. And I had to train myself to feel better about what I was doing. And again, it was listening to people that actually mattered, like your partner, or even your parents. They haven't got a clue about what I do. My mum just goes, yeah, oh, it's lovely. Oh, he tried to run the school, so she doesn't know what's good and what's not. But the fact that she is saying, oh, it looks really nice, you listen to that, because it's positive. It's like I said earlier, you have to stay as positive as you can, because when you're shoveling crap in the snow on Christmas Day, if you're not positive, then you just don't do it. You have to stop.
And so on the flip side to that, then, so you had that bout of depression, and it's good to share that, I think, because again, people paint a picture of how easy it must be to get somewhere, and you're clearly very positive, you've got a great mindset now, but they think, oh, they must have been born that way, or what have you. And it's good to know that actually you've been through that, and you've come out the other side.
Yes, I'm out the other side. I stopped medication a few years ago now, and yeah, it's not something I've really ever spoken about. I don't know why I've even said it now, but I think I feel ready that I can sort of accept that it was a thing, and it's not something to be embarrassed about. I think more people have that sort of feeling than we realise, and no one knows what's going on under the surface and stuff. I mean, I was really bad. I was having some really, really dark thoughts. And it was tough. And my partner at the time, she was saying to me, enough now, snap out of it, it's getting boring. And it just sort of made me spiral. It made me go, oh God, I'm making it worse for everyone else. It's awful. What have I done? What have I done? And I think, to be honest, the horses are what got me out of it more than anything else, because again, they're the same every day. You come out and it sounds, you haven't even got to ride them. If you just go and sit in the field with a horse and watch them, it's so peaceful and so calm. I think humans like to make life stressful, and I don't know. I think if we are content, we're not content for very long as a species. We seem to want to find a problem to deal with. Like, you hear so many stories about people winning the lottery and then being so unhappy because they thought all their dreams would come true. But your dreams coming true doesn't have to mean the end of what you're striving for. I think it's the struggle is actually what makes you a better person. It sounds very like I'm hugging a tree now, but it is the case, and I've learned this the hard way. I've been at rock bottom and not wanted to even try anymore, and it's slowly but surely you find the things that make you happy.
Cool. So if anyone's in that situation right now and they're feeling, down, depressed, like it's too hard, what are they doing it for? They're not good enough, any of that kind of stuff, then your advice would be just to keep finding something.
Yeah. The best way to do it is find one positive thing every day and focus on the positive thing. It's the same as, like, you have those people around you that are kind to you. Focus on them. Don't focus on the people that have been horrible to you. Just ignore them. I know it's so easy to say. I still struggle with it. If I have a photo on Facebook and there's one person going, oh, well, that doesn't look very nice. Yeah, well, I'm happy with it. I'm pleased. And you have got to just brush it off, because it's the age we live in now where social media is so prevalent, and it is so damaging, and so much more pressure is heaped on people now. You go back to the old old days when camera phones didn't exist and all the rest, and people were going out and winning dressage competitions, everyone just went, oh, they won that competition, they must be brilliant. Whereas now, Carl Hester can go and win a competition, and then you'll have people out there scrutinizing over every screenshot they can take of that competition and that test, and they have that one moment, oh, look, his hand's too high, oh god, look, oh, the horse isn't in perfect self-carriage, oh my god, he's a crap rider. And that sadly is how people are nowadays. No one just thinks, oh, well done you. Everyone wants to find a problem instead of finding a nice thing. And it's a very odd way to be, but it's just the way the human race seems to be going. Hence, again, why I like spending all my time with horses. Even with competitions, I'd rather just stay at home and stay with the horses. It's just nicer.
Yeah, don't blame me on that one. So with that, and thank you, by the way, as well. And a comment from Ali is, thank you so much for sharing it, because it takes a lot to open up, and it really does help others. And anyone that's ever come on one of these Q&As and has opened up like that, and it's funny because I do get people going, well, I've never told anyone that before. I don't know why I've just told you. No. It's because actually what it really does help other people. It will help a lot of people massively, because I do know a lot of people out there really struggling right now with not feeling good enough, even if they're amazing. Everyone's amazing, but they're doing amazingly, because it's really common to keep moving the goalposts apart from anything else and never actually celebrating, well done, you did that. It's always like, yeah, but it's not good enough because of this, That's a really common thing. But also, I think to hear that you've achieved what you have achieved and you are where you are, and to hear that you've come through it and be very reflective about it, and, very kind of matter of fact about the fact that it happens, but it's not the end of the world, is really helpful to so many people.
Yeah, thank you. It's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's also not a horrible thing that you should feel bad about either. When I felt like it, I didn't want to get on the horses. I just sort of, I'll just lunge it against it. I'll just lunge it against it. I'll just lunge it against it. And you can get into a spiral where you just start thinking, because if I do get on it, what if it goes wrong? And you do a lot of what if, and it's always a what if it's not good, and what if the horse doesn't go very well, and every now and then you just got to think to yourself, but what if it does? What if it does go well? What if it actually is a really nice session I had with the horse today? What if I get on and do 10 minutes and get back off and give it a pat? That'll do. You don't have to achieve a certain thing every time you get on the horse. I have sessions sometimes where I think, okay, right, I'm going to work on pirouettes today, and I'm gonna then do a bit of piaffe at the end, and because that's what I should be doing. And like I tried that last week with a horse. I got on it, I couldn't ride in a straight line, and so I'll just ride straight lines today, and I'll do transitions. And once I'd done a few straight lines and transitions, I thought, well, I'm really pleased that I'll pop the horse in the field now. You can have a plan, and by all means, try and stick to it in the bigger picture. Like if your plan is to try and get this horse to a certain level, stick to that plan. But if you have a plan for that day and it doesn't go well, change the plan. Because there's nothing wrong with changing something. It doesn't mean you failed. It means you just decided to do something else.
I think you've read the book, Ed. This is you're just absolutely telling us all the things that we talk about as mindset coaches and things like that. It's great. It's like, here, read the book, Ed, and just tell us it back.
All right.
You should write one.
Hang on, where's the next paragraph?
That's it. Right, we're on
next paragraph.
Chapter 3 now.
Chapter 3.
So one of the things that I did want to talk about, though, is a little bit actually related to what you just said there as well, which is this idea that, so we've got social media and things happen very fast and people can scrutinize, and we've got all of that. And at the same time, this constant comparison goes on because we put it out there now. It's so easy to put it out there. And everyone says, oh, I put it warts and all, but we don't. Everyone still screens social media to a degree. No one really puts it all out there, and that's fine. Like half the time it's like we don't really want to see it. Honestly, that's not a problem. But so most of us are like, selling the dream and all of that jazz, and put pretty pictures up and things. Cool, no problem. But there's coming from that is this constant comparison and this constant, like, I'm not good enough, I need to be doing more, I need to be getting there quicker, I need to be doing better. That horse is 10 years old and is Grand Prix, mine's 6 years old and hasn't even learned, you know, to canter correctly yet, and all these things. So one of the things that we had a quick chat about before we started was this idea of, you know, everyone wants things a little bit faster nowadays, and everyone wants stuff a bit quicker, and that, you know, I think society's changed a little bit around that, but so has dressage, so has riding, so have things, you know, technology's moving on faster, innovation and invention of different types of saddles, girths, bridles, boots, you know, all of this stuff is moving fast, all designed to help us get better. But this kind of get it quick mentality is an interesting one in the horse world, because they don't follow that, do they?
No, they don't care if it happens today or 10 years time. The horse couldn't give a monkeys. What they care about is, where's my carrot and when am I going in the field, please? They're not fussed. It doesn't bother them. I remember when I again got into dressage and rest, and the lady in particular that I went and trained with in Germany, she won, I think, 3 Olympic golds, you know, 2 World Cups and all this. And the scores were sort of average, sort of 65, 66, and you could win the World Cup on that sort of score. And the horses back then, they were doing their Grand Prix debuts at 14, 15. Now we seem to say, oh no, if it's 14, it's past it. It's over the hill. And it's such a strange way that the sport's gone. Just because the horse isn't doing it when it's young doesn't mean it won't do it. It's a very, very odd way to look at it. It's almost sort of trying to write something off before you've even given it a chance. And it is because we are so used to everything being at our fingertips and having it all quick, now. Out. You know, if I want to watch Netflix, I can just flick it on and I can watch whatever TV show I want. I can watch it all night. I can watch 6 episodes if I want to. And you know, I'll confess, I do that sometimes. I binge. But I think it's important to remember that there doesn't have to be a deadline. Horses in particular, that I cannot get my head around the fact that horses have to be backed and broken and fully established by the age of 4 or 5. And if they're not, oh well, it's no good a horse. Some horses take a long time to develop. I mean, I've got a really good example. My top horse at the moment, I went and did the 4-year-old classes with him, and I was told that he didn't really show that much ability. He didn't really show any ability to lengthen or collect. No, he was just a nice horse, and he got like 60-something% for the young horse class, which is really low. The next year, when he'd got a bit stronger and he'd been in the field and he'd been hacking, went and did the 5-year-olds again, similar sort of thing. You know, didn't do that well, did all right, and right at the end of his 5th year, he just was able. He just got stronger, and he went and won the international 5-year-old champion, and then he just went from strength to strength. Then he went and won the international 6-year-old champion. Yet at the beginning, if I'd listened to all these people saying, "Oh well, he's all right, you know, he could be nice one day," if I'd listened to that instead of thinking, "Well, actually, he feels like a good horse to me. He tries his heart out. Everything I ask him to do, he gives it a go." You know, I wouldn't still have that horse. I'd go, "Oh well, it's not good enough. I need to sell it." And it's stuff like that, and it happens so often. You've got to give them a little bit of a chance to get there, and not massively different to humans as well. As for all the social media stuff, I mean, it can be a great way to pick you up and think, oh, I'm going to strive for that. But I'll be honest. I mean, I see a lot of my friends going out there and competing a lot, and I oh God, you know, I should be competing more, and I should be doing that, and oh no, they're doing so well. Like lovely fair. I've got to know Danny Morgan. He does brilliant stuff, and I could not be happier for him. But you can't help that when you see the post going, oh, you know, I've won this again. It's like, oh, piss off, Danny. God. It's so bloody jealous. I mean, you can't help it. Everyone feels like it. Way, and using that envy to make you try and go and do what they've done, as opposed to being envious thinking, oh, well, they've done it. I hate them. I hate them. Yeah, I hate them. That's it.
That's perfect. Thank you. That was chapter 4, which is inspiration, not comparison. We're doing well here. Doing really well.
Chapters, that's really good.
It's good. It's good. We're just writing the book as we go. It's all good. So someone said here, a horse that tries for you is worth their weight in gold.
Yeah. I'd trade paces of total ass for a horse that tries. Because if they try, it doesn't matter how many times they get it wrong, because they just try again. Doesn't matter. If they get it wrong, give them a pat, do it again. It really doesn't matter. If they don't try, you've got nothing to work with. That's the biggest thing for me. If the only thing I ever ask a horse to do is try. Even, like I say, if you come out on a day and you say, I'm going to do pirouettes today, or I'm going to do simple changes or whatever, and you're trying to do those things and the horse is trying to do something else, then maybe say, okay, well, if you're trying to do flying changes, let's do flying changes. Go with it a little bit, because you can always come back to the thing you wanted to do another day when the horse wants to try that. But don't mistake a horse, because a lot of people say, oh, the horse is arguing with me. Well, actually, is it arguing, or is it just getting confused? Is it trying to do the wrong thing? So again, take that step back, have a little walk, give it another go, and just as long as they try, go with it. I mean, like, the number of lessons I've done over the years where I've been saying to people, right, give him a tap with the stick to get the hind leg more active, and the horse is bucked, and they always get such a shock when I say, give him a pat for that. They can't quite understand why I say pat them for bucking, because as soon, even for a little buck, you've tapped them on the bum, they've moved their bum, so encourage that. And then as they get the idea, they'll realize, oh, actually, I've got to move my bum that way. But the activity is what you want to encourage, because they tried something. There's nothing more depressing than slapping a horse with a stick and the horse not really feeling it. Now, when a fly lands on a horse, they feel it. So if you're kicking and slapping it, that's telling you they're not listening. That's saying, I'm not trying for you, I hate you. So if they buck, great, that'll do. It did something. It's a miracle.
Okay, I think a lot of people will be like, oh heck, does that mean we have to get our horses bucking to be happy with it? I know what you mean. Yeah, I get it.
You can go away. You can fall off, but hopefully you're clinging on nice and tight. You'll be
fine. And so that brings me on to you as a coach as well, and the way that you coach people and you work with people. So we've heard a lot about the way that you work with horses that you're riding and you're training. What about the way that you like to work with people and you like to coach? What would you say are your main kind of pillars of coaching for you?
Main pillars really just come down to the fact the horse has to understand what you're telling them to do. And I learned this the hard way. I was really lucky. I went out to Germany. I was 18 when I went out there, and I was with basically one of the greatest trainers that's ever lived. And then her daughter is currently, she's the longest serving German team trainer. They were incredible, and they told me all this stuff when I was young, and they said, this, you've got to get this in place first, and you've got to do that first, and if you haven't got that, there's no point doing this. And of course, a cocky 18-year-old is like, oh yeah. When can I do a flying change? And it's not until later in life, after I'd done it all wrong and made thousands of mistakes and got it wrong and had to go back and start again, and then got it wrong and had to go back and start again, that I realized actually just keep it really simple. If your horse can't go in a straight line, don't do a leg yield. Because if you can't go straight, why would you push it sideways? It's just stupid. If your horse doesn't do a transition without you having to pull it to stop, then keep repeating that until you can do that. And you'd be amazed how many people I've trained over the years where they'll come and say, oh, I want to do half pass for my horse. I want to be doing a medium by the end of the year. And blah, blah. And I'll say, well, no, look, we need to do transitions. The horse needs to understand the transition better. It needs to be stronger. And then we'll look at, effectively what I call tricks. And they don't come back. Because, again, the mindset nowadays, they want it to happen now. And if they can't, in that lesson, me wave a magic wand and say, look, now you can do a half pass, hooray! Then they don't come back because they think, well, he hasn't told me what I wanted to hear. And you know what, that's fine. They can go to someone else who can tell them, yeah, you're amazing. That's it. Chuck it sideways. Chuck it off balance. That's brilliant. But it all backfires when you when you try and piece a test together, because the horse has to stay in a rhythm, it has to stay balanced. If it doesn't, then at some point that horse will fight you, it will struggle, and they'll try and tell you they're struggling, but horses being horses just keep their head down and keep trying and trying and trying, and they'll try and tell you they can't do it subtly, and then they'll tell you a bit stronger, like, no, I'm struggling, and then they'll start saying, well, look, I can't bloody do it, all right, and they start backing off, they start stopping, they start twisting, and they try and find a way to make their life easier because you haven't actually balanced them and helped them in the first place. And so it's, for me, the pillar of training is just be patient. You know, some horses you can get on and they learn the transitions so quickly. It's magical. But I'll be honest, that's only ever happened once in over 20 years for me. So don't hold your breath, everybody. You just, don't worry about that. And some horses, you know, they take forever to learn a basic transition. But then when you say do leg yield, half bar, shoulder in, they learn it all in a week. Because they've got that foundation in place and they are confident with it. But training wise, it really is a case of patience. And again, I didn't have patience. You know, I'm not saying this because, oh, you know, this is how everyone should be. You should be patient and cuddle them. And no, I didn't have patience. I used to be that person saying, oh no, it's not working. Why is it not working? If I kick it harder, maybe if I ride with 2 sticks or bigger spurs, or, you know, maybe this, and it's not. Just come and do it again. Yeah, a lot of lateral work. I ended up teaching horses in walk now, mainly because both you and the horse have got so much more time to work out where you both need to be, and then once they can master it in walk, then go up to trot and give it a go. But there's no point going at it really fast in trot if the trot's unbalanced and you're trying to kick it sideways. They're not going to understand what on earth you want to do, and 9 times out of 10 the rider's not in the right place anyway, because you haven't actually felt where you should be, because the horse was trying to tell you, but you couldn't feel it because we're so desperate to get the result.
That's awesome. And that sounds to me as well like, you know, the more horses you can ride and the more you can get that feedback, the better rider you'll become as well, because when you're just on that one horse, it's difficult.
I think having one horse is hard, not because of just the feedback element, but just one horse, when it does go wrong, it like the world falls apart, because that one horse, it matters so much, and it's like own horse syndrome. When it's your own horse and it's that one horse you have, it's, oh god, no, because my horse should be the best one and I'm failing and it's no good, it's awful. And it's not the case. It's, you know, when you ride lots of different horses, you realize actually I ride other people's horses far better than I ride my own, and I still do, because my horse, I want it to, you know, I feel like it should be really good because, you know, I'm a professional, it should be happening. But actually, again, it's the same thing. Just take your time, just do it again, and find out what the horse tells you. If you can get the horse to basically tell you what they understand, what they don't, which I know sounds weird because they can't talk to you, but they can talk to you in different ways. You just got to try and listen a little bit.
Cool. And so tell us then a little bit about your horses. What have you got at the moment? What are you most excited about? Which one are you enjoying at the moment? Which one are you struggling with? Are there any? It's all perfect.
Everything's perfect. Everything's just pink and fluffy all the time. It's great. I wake up in the morning and, you know, I poo rainbows. It's amazing. But no, it's not like that. I mean, my most exciting one is my top horse that I did the young horse classes and things on. He's gone from strength to strength, and, you know, I've had problems with him. You know, he went through a phase where he wouldn't eat. It turned out he didn't want to eat because he was a stallion still, and so took the difficult decision to get him cut. He was cut when he was 7. Then he had to have a bit of time off, just going hacking, chucking in the field a bit, just being a horse. And he's now come back so much better for it. And he's one of those one horse in a million where he just tries and tries and tries. And I honestly, in 20 odd years, I've never had a horse that just tries and tries and tries for you. And when he gets it wrong, you haven't got to tell him he's got it wrong. He knows, and that's enough punishment for him. He can't bear the idea of getting it wrong. And I'm really looking forward to taking him out again soon. I want to go and do some advance with him, and then once he's done that, we'll go and do some Prix St George. And he's showing everything for Grand Prix. Like we started playing with it. But again, I wouldn't want him doing a full Grand Prix for another couple of years yet, because he doesn't need to. He's 9 next year, so technically he's allowed to do one, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. So, but that's just my mindset, I suppose. It's up to everyone else. But if you do it too soon, it doesn't mean you can keep doing it for a lot longer afterwards. And then I've got another young horse I've just bought, little chestnut mare. Something I thought I would never ever do is buy a chestnut mare, and I did. So I just fell in love with her on a video and thought, oh, why not? Let's give it a go. Bought her unbacked, so I'm just currently teaching her what a saddle is and things at the moment. And she does seem a little bit hot, a little bit feisty. Definitely a princess. Like, she'll shout at you if she's not got anything she wants. I've got a very, very strong suspicion I'm going to fall off her at least once in the next couple of weeks. But I'm sure it'll be worth it. It'll be fine. And other than that, I've just got a lot of horses in on livery at the moment. I've got a couple of 3-star horses coming in for some training next week, because this is what a lot of eventers tend to do. They say, "Oh shit, I've got to do a half pass in my test." I know, I'll give it to Ed for a week. He'll put a half pass on it. And so I sort of do my best to sort of blag a half pass and say, right, if you do this, this, and this, you'll get it, but don't expect it to get an 8. Just sort of try and cover it up as best you can. But that's eventing. Eventing are way more cavalier and everything than dressage people. Dressage people like to stress about the tiniest little things, like, oh, my flexion wasn't good. Oh my god, death is around the corner. Whereas eventers can give a monkey. So if they get over those cross-country jumps and survive, way, I lived another day. So I think that's a really different mindset. And other than that, it's just a few horses coming in and out for sale here and there.
Cool. Okay. And so what are have you got goals, dreams, hopes for the future, or are you really happy just kind of doing what you're doing? Because it could be either way, really, couldn't it?
I am really happy doing what I'm doing. And it's the first time in my life that I actually can say that. I always used to strive for more, and I used to think, I'm as successful as I feel I should be, and I should be competing more, I should be this, I should be that. And actually you don't need to. I'm actually really content with just doing what I'm doing. It's nice. I'm getting to come in every day and train the horses, and they're all progressing, they all are relaxed, they're all happy. I still want to keep striving to achieve more. I want to go and ride my young one around a Grand Prix one day. My big goal, and what makes me think will make me really believe that I know what I'm doing, is to get 3 or 4 horses up to Grand Prix from backed and broken. I've done it with one, and I'm only 36. I've got plenty of time left, surely. So yeah, and that will give me the confidence to actually know what I'm getting it right more often than I'm getting it wrong. And that will give me a bit of self-confidence. And yet, even saying it out loud, I can hear myself in my own head saying, actually, if you can get a few horses around a prelim, you're doing well. Why does it have to be a certain level? If I sometimes just getting a horse around a prelim, that's an achievement. God, you've got a horse to deny its basic instinct of something getting on its back is not a predator, and then you've got it to trust you and trot round. Then you've got to get it to actually stop when you want it to stop, and you've got it to go when you want it to go, and then you've got to get it to turn. Just getting it around a prelim is such a massive achievement. It's incredible when you actually stop and think about what you're doing to a wild animal, and they're trusting you. But for me, that's now my goal. I want to really strive to get this one to Grand Prix, and then I'll back my young mare, and I'll take her out and do some classes and just keep building. But I came to terms a very long time ago. I went and did the British Young Riders thing, which is the birds training, and I did it when I was 16, 17. And I came to terms way back then I would never ever be a big name in the sport, because I just can't afford to keep up with it. I can't afford the horsepower. I can't really afford to. I mean, I muck out 10 horses every day. I don't have a groom, so just me finding cover for a competition. I've got to pay for the cover, pay to get to the competition. International entry fees, 500 quid. I came to terms a long time ago. I'm not going to be that person. But what I do want to do is I want to become a very good horseman. And I would like to be known as a good horseman, that people think, oh, actually, no, we've got a problem. Let's take the horse there. It doesn't even have to be dressage. I mean, the number of lessons I give and say, well, look, have you had the saddle checked? Think about the shoeing, think about the physio, think about this, think about that. Because it's interesting knowing all the other things. You don't have to just stick to, kick and pull. There's a lot other things you could be doing. And long term, that's what I would like to be. I'd like to be a good horseman, like the old German masters. And if I get to compete at Grand Prix again and get some good scores, then brilliant. I would love, my big thing. I'm not too worried about doing the Olympics, but I would love to ride at Olympia. That's one of those things I've always loved going and watching, and I would love to ride at Olympia. But it's just got to wait and see, really, isn't it? I can't make that my sole purpose and my sole goal, because disappointment does not kick you in the bum. So I'd like to do it, and I'm going to strive to try and do it. But I'm quite open-minded to the fact that if I can't do it, I can still do other things. It's all right.
Cool. Thank you very much. That was chapter 5. So we did it. So thank you so much, Ed. It's been absolutely fascinating and really great to hear about your story and the things in your journey and the person that you have become and are continuing to become. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, maybe come and train with you, because you're down in Hazelmere, aren't you? In is that Surrey or West Sussex? It's on that edge. Surrey, I think, isn't it?
We're on the Surrey and West Sussex. It's just on the border.
Yeah.
So if you off the A3, you come off at Hindhead, and you're 2 minutes away.
Yeah. So if anyone wants to get a hold of you, train with you, hear more from you, follow your journey, ask you any questions, how do they do
that? Best thing to do is just go on my Facebook page.
Which is?
Drop me a message on my Facebook, either just Edward Creamer, my personal one, or on my Chevalier Dressage page as well, which is on there. And yeah, just pop me a message. And even if you don't want to have a lesson, or if you just want to say, oh, I'm struggling with this, my horse has been doing X, Y, and Z, do you have any suggestions? Just message. I'm more than happy, because I don't want people to have to make the same mistakes I did if they don't have to, because I've literally learned everything the hard way. And
but look what
really
you've become in doing that.
Yeah, it's paid off in other ways. Yeah, but if I can save other people making those same mistakes, then that's a win for me. I mean, that'll make my day.
Cool. Thank you so much, Ed. It's been an absolute pleasure. So if anyone wants to get in touch with you, I will put the link for Chevalier Dressage, and I will spell it correctly in the podcast and things like that for people to have a look at, just in case they're trying to spell that. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I know lots of people are going to respond really well to this one. So thanks, great. Ed. Take care, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.